Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's 1 o'clock, and it is August 2018. What is today? The 28th, isn't it?
Yep, yes. It's the 28th.
And everyone that's on the call, no, this is not your imagination. That is actually Molly in the picture and on the phone with us again. And so excited to have Molly back with us. It's like, well, you weren't even really gone.
Hi,
just
guys.
like went over there and said, no, this is no good out here in this world, and we want to go back to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really excited to have Molly back with us, helping out with marketing, and she just did the user group earlier this month.
Yes, exactly. And we actually went through a live example of how to do the perfect client exercise. So this is kind of feeding directly off of that.
Yes. And so the perfect client exercise, well, first of all, so some housekeeping. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the little question box, and I'll see them, and we'll try to answer them. If we can't, we'll follow up. Of course, we're recording this webinar, and we will send the recording to everybody that registered for it. And we're always looking for feedback on our webinars or information that you need out there. It is a very dynamic, crazy jungle in the web, on the web, in the web, out there all the time, and we're surprised by the changes, and but not as probably surprised as you guys are all the time. But if you have questions or you need answers to questions, let us know. So these are here for you. All right. So with no further ado, Molly, let's talk about our perfect client. This is one of my favorite conversations.
Yes. Let's jump right into it. So I'm not going to go through the whole perfect client exercise with you guys again, but I will send out a link so you guys can fill this out on your own time. But just to give you an idea of what the perfect client exercise covers, it's really about what you have to offer for your clients and then who those people are that you really enjoy working with. So who do you help? What do you help them to do? How do you help them to do it? And these are kind of the things that we have you fill out as you go down through your perfect client exercise. You're going to think about your favorite people to work with. Do you like them because they offer you a lot of monetary value, or do you like them because of the relationship that you build with them? There's a lot to think about here. And all of these things are going to lead to this avatar of your perfect client, what they're hearing, thinking, seeing, saying, and what their hopes and fears are. And we do this with, I think, all of our clients when they come on board with us to identify specifically not just the avatar of who they are, but then avenues for reaching those people through these means, through what they're hearing and what they're seeing and their hopes and fears and that kind of information about them.
And you know, one of the people that I learned this from, well, the person I learned this from is my good buddy Dave Fries, who has a complete course on the perfect client, as Molly. So we're just going to kind of touch on it and kind of show you how to bring it all the way through to the website. And it's a foundational way to think because as marketers, well, not us as marketers, but as business people, we want all the business. We think we do. We think we're like, oh, we have to be out there for everything. We need traffic from every direction, and we need the phone ringing off the hook. But what you find is that that's not the case most often, is that a lot of those people who are calling you you would never work for them. You would never be hired by them. And a lot of that is because you don't really want to. And what this kind of comes down to is lifestyle is a big part of it. Like, how hard do you really want to work? You know, I talk to clients all the time, all day long, and I'm asking questions like, you know, are you getting the cases that you want? A lot of them are saying, you know, well, they're good, you know, we're getting a lot of traffic, but not necessarily the cases that we're looking for. That's a perfect example
Right.
that you haven't done the perfect client exercise and you're putting out content for everybody instead of the clients that you want.
Or you've done it, but you're not keeping it in mind as you're moving forward. It's something that we
It's
have
true.
to
We have to do it.
come
You gotta
back
do it all
to
the
it
time.
all the time. Yeah, we have this outlined and we have it in a shared folder for everyone to access so that when we're writing content, when we're creating ads, we know we're focused on our perfect client. It's not about casting that super wide net because that is it's gonna make more work for you. It's gonna make more work for
Yeah.
your office. You're just talking to people who aren't qualified, or you're kind of working on those small fish cases or patients where, you know, they come in one time for something that you're trying your hardest to help them with, but that little chunk is not really making a big dent in your overall success. So that's really what this whole thing is about. And this is how we're going to help you guys put that information to use. Content writing. So written content is essential to organically attracting users who are looking for the information that you're sharing. And how you write that content is going to be totally based on who your perfect client is, that avatar that you've created, what you're talking about in your content, the language.
Can you
you're
back up?
using.
I'm sorry, Molly.
Yeah.
Can you back up just a minute to the slide before?
Sure.
Boom. I just wanted to get into a little bit more of this before we moved on to the actual tactical bits of how to do this.
Sure.
So the perfect client, the big four pieces here are the we help, and it is who you're helping. So think about the people that you've worked with in the 10, 20, 30 years that you've been an attorney or a doctor, and you're the favorite ones, the ones that come to mind. And it's not necessarily the biggest cases, because some of the biggest cases could have been the worst client ever.
Sure.
Some of the best clients could have been like not such a great case, but they were great clients to work with that made you a happy person
Sure.
to work with them. That's really what it's about, is like part of it is like, okay, yeah, we want all the clients, but we want the clients that we want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody gets to this point eventually. Everyone gets to it. Everybody that we talk to gets to the point where like, yeah, you're right. It's not about volume. It's about the quality of the clients and the cases. And then the other thing is like, what do you help them to? So first of all, you got to help. What are the kind of people? Are they male or female? Are they 40 or are they 50? Do they have kids? Do they don't have kids? Are they elderly? Not.
Right.
And so,
what are they making every year?
Right.
Right.
Because that influences where you're going to spend your marketing dollars.
Absolutely.
So you know what, if they all read this kind of magazine,
Mhm.
if they all shop at this mall, now you know where to put some more advertising in. We'll get to that in a minute. But what are you going to help them to do? Obviously, you want to help them get their life better. You know, if it's a personal injury, you want to help them get their deal with the insurance company.
But that's the thing that I think a lot of people kind of miss. When they say, "Oh, we help somebody to win their case," that's not really addressing your perfect client's goal is not to win their case. Your perfect client's goal is to stop being harassed by bill collectors. It's to move on with their life, to pick up the pieces and take that next step so that their life can continue without this thing hanging over their head.
Right.
It's to help them when they're in too deep and they don't know what to do.
That's why people seek out lawyers. Lawyers
Mhm.
are counselors of the law, right? They're counseling them because lawyers, you guys, and doctors, you know your profession. So what are you helping them do? They're not coming there because they're like, they have questions that you have answers to. And so when we say we help these certain people, so those are the kind of people, and what do you help them to do to solve the problem? And their problems will be different depending upon the practice areas.
Mm-hmm.
So you're really going to have perfect client or perfect avatar for each one of your practice areas.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets more complicated. So start with your top practice areas that you enjoy doing the most, because those are the ones that you're going to have more case stories about and be able to talk more about. And so then how do you help them, which is the buy, and you said you're going to give them this exercise afterwards.
Yeah.
So this will make a little bit more sense, but I'm just going through it quick. But buy is how you will help them. And we're going to show certain examples of this.
Right.
And then even if, which is always their objections. So everyone has objections. Yeah, but I've done this or I've done that or I've done that. And so like you want to be able to do this. So this is the kind of narrative and content that you need to complete before you really, if you want to have really good, effective, and efficient marketing. Otherwise, you're going to endlessly spending money on pay-per-click for vanity keywords just like everybody else.
Absolutely. And that even if is a big one too, because these are things that people they've kind of eliminated their self from seeking your help. It's people who have a pre-existing condition who've been in a car accident, and they think, oh, that, that rules me out of being able to get any sort of settlement for my pain and suffering because I already had a slip disc before this car accident, and the fact that the car accident made it worse shouldn't matter. I mean, this is the kind of content that you want to be creating. These are the kind of messages that you need to put out there for people, because if you don't outline these things, you're going to miss that opportunity. That's money left on the table. Those are clients that you're not going to get.
And this is by doing, I'm telling you this, by doing this exercise will get you the cases and clients that you are looking for at a much less, in a much more efficient, less expensive way than blasting pay-per-click and AdWords and whatnot. This is the foundation of everything. I'm not saying don't do AdWords, but have it be focused on your perfect client, not to the whole planet. And so, like, you want, if you have got your perfect client down and you focus your AdWords campaign on campaigning to the needs or the needs or requirements of your perfect client, your cost of doing that will be so much less than just blasting out, I'm a car accident guy in Portsmouth. I mean, like everybody else is doing. Anyway, okay, let's go ahead and show them some examples. And then, of course, just to reiterate, we kind of glossed over that. Many of you might have questions. If you want to talk to us about that, we're here to talk to you about how to do a perfect client exercise. Molly, you're going to send this out afterwards, but we're always available to give you fwmanalysis.com to help you out to answer any of these questions.
Yep.
All right, let's show them what the perfect client in use.
So this is how we're putting it to use. I mentioned before we're going to talk a lot about content because this is the essential piece, how you organically attract those perfect clients because you're speaking directly to them. YouTube pre-roll ads, video has been a huge conversion tool, and it's still growing. I mean, it's snowballing how important video is, and adding the right kind of videos to these pre-roll ads is going to be a key for getting those people. We're going to talk about Facebook ad targeting because it's almost as if it was made with this perfect client exercise in mind. The options here are so perfect for this.
It just lines up.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
Because the demographics in Facebook.
And then we're going to talk about associations and organizations, how you can attract them, and how this kind of there's kind of two benefits here that we'll dive into.
It's funny because I just was on a call with a client just an hour ago, and he was talking about his Facebook ads are bringing him, and this is the guy with a pretty new website, and his Facebook ads are bringing him the business he's looking for.
Yeah.
So
they're great for this. Okay, so when we talk about content, we're talking about the language you're using, how you're speaking, the topics that you're writing about, obviously. But then those driving factors, what is actually motivating people to seek more information or help, and then their biggest fears and concerns. Those are the things that we want to hit on in order to draw in the perfect client. So here's perfect example.
This is my okay, well, so this is the guy that is the mad scientist with perfect client. And I just show this because he's an estate planning lawyer, Dave Fries, in Chester County, Pennsylvania, which is an affluent county. And he decided years ago that obviously he wants better clients. He wants clients that are going to pay him $7,500, $10,000 for an estate plan. When most people are trying to get $1,500 or $1,000 or $3,000 or something like that. So he's going after the big whales. And so he knows the questions that people with estates of 10, 20, 30 million plus have because of all of his experience being a lawyer and the kind of client. So he put this to work by adding a series, and you can go to his website, paestateplanners.com, but see all these videos that he's put together asking or answering the questions that his big clients have asked him over the years. And this, in turn, and the funny part of this is he started doing this about 2, 3, 4 years ago and really using video, and he shot these videos here in the studio, but he pumped these out and he got some huge clients as a result, big money clients as a result of this video campaign. And you can ask him directly, but it's some kind of quote like this where a big CEO or owner of this other company got his CFO to go out there and do some research because he wanted an estate planner. And the CFO, on behalf of the CEO, did all this research and said, I don't know this guy, Dave Fries, from anywhere, but he answered every question I had. He's all over the place. And so there's a lot to say for that. And that is really his perfect client. That's a great example of that.
And that's the crucial piece is what questions are your
Right.
perfect client?
It comes, I mean, like, I'm glad you bring, because content is the base of everything.
Yep.
Content is the base of everything. It's what you do with it. Anyway, okay.
All
So
right.
what's another example?
So here's
Oh, that's
another
good.
great example, James Roswald, who, I mean, all over his website, you see biker rocker lawyer. He knows his perfect client. He knows who he's speaking to. He likes to work with motorcycle riders and people who share similar interests to him. And his content resonates with those people. He's a very specific type of person that you're going to, either really enjoy working with, or maybe he's not your cup of tea, but he speaks directly to those people that he wants to work with, and he does a great job of it.
He's authentic. And
Yeah.
so here's a great story about James. James been a client for, 10 years now, I think. Been a great client. He's works in Ben Glass's mastermind, and has been a part of GLM since early days. And he was just your run-of-the-mill, acting like a regular old lawyer back in the, and competing on that. He had some like trouble in the very beginning with, but he was being everyone's lawyer, just like everybody else. And struggling. Now this guy, but James he did videos, he did he put a lot of work into it. But then we didn't know anything about this whole, he's in a rock band and then he's a biker. We didn't really know much about that because he was hiding it. And this is an important lesson to everybody, is that you've got to be yourself. And the more that you're out there doing your passion, and we got tons of stories, James Roswald, Jim Dotson, who's a bike enthusiast, the more that you're able to put out there and stand behind your passion and put your passion out there like what James has done. And some of you might be like, that's the silliest thing ever. That might be silly for you, but not for him. He's very comfortable. He does these rock concerts at motorcycle places, and he's got a ton of clients as a result.
And it's not silly for his clients.
No, it's not silly.
Yeah.
They love it. And it makes him happy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another way that you can kind of connect your lifestyle with your perfect client.
Yes.
So that's a great example.
So another great example we have, and this is Bill Turley's website. He does such a great job with his content, really speaking to his audience. His clients are not well versed in
What
the
are you
claims
seeing? I'm
process.
seeing something called the basics.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So this is the
you
content
took some. All right, very
on
good.
his. Sorry, I should have clarified that. But he takes these kind of high-level concepts that are usually, tons of legalese stuffed in there, things that are really hard to digest and understand, and he makes it easy for anyone to understand.
This is Bill Turley.
Yes, and he speaks plainly.
Okay, so that's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
So Bill Turley, man, he's had multiple lives. And so great story that we don't really have time to get into with Bill, but I mean, just a perfect example of somebody that went after his perfect client.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, just to back up, before he went after this Defense-Based Act stuff, he was a PI guy. That personal injury guy, president of the association, would get referrals, would wake up and have leads in his inbox and people calling him. And he had a case that he lost, big class action. And his leads dried up and he was almost bankrupt. He had to reinvent himself. And he reinvented himself doing the Defense-Based Act practice areas. He didn't bemoan it. Of course, he's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But he didn't oh, the sky is falling. He got busy and he went after the Defense-Based Act, and he's doing all kinds of other stuff. So this guy went from bankruptcy to he's got 12 offices now.
Oh, yeah.
And so many people. But he's got a great story all the way from the beginning.
But that's a great point, too. Despite the fact that he, he's now, I don't want to call him a hotshot, but now he's this kind of big deal attorney who's got tons of offices going around. He still speaks to his perfect client. He speaks on their level. He's not speaking over anybody's head. He's talking to the blue collar guys that he's working with. If you read even a little bit of his bio, you'll see he's even saying things like he stuttered pretty bad. So he is using the vernacular that his audience is also using and speaking to the people that he works best with.
He's a
not-
genuine guy, and
Yeah.
that's the other thing too, is be transparent, be genuine to who you are, and treat people right. I mean, like, that's the whole thing, is like, it's in his story. But one of the things that I remember early on with Bill was the fact that what he loved about DSS is that he could tell it his way. And that was one of his frustrations before, is that he couldn't put content out there that really spoke to his perfect client, and then he was able to do it. And so just another example is Turley Law. That's another guy that's like changed multiple times because the environment changed for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been able to find his perfect client every time in the 3 or 4 different practice areas that I've seen him start in the time he's been with us, 10, 12 years. I've seen him start brand new practice areas and be hugely successful with them because he just talks. He's just real and authentic.
Yeah. Speaking from the heart.
Yeah.
So this is Brad Parker, who he's speaking directly to his personal injury clients here, because when we outlined his perfect client, he talked about the kind of clients that he loves to work with, and the kind of clients who really seek out his help are going to be those middle to upper middle class folks who, you know, they own their home, they've got kids, they're not struggling, but they can't afford the debt that comes with a car accident or comes with an injury of a grand scale. They don't want to need him, but if they do, they're happy to have him. And he ties that directly into his language and even his tagline that he has here.
There's another tagline. What is it? Blood and guts and glory and what? I know I'm butchering it, Brad. I apologize, but the other tagline's even funnier. But yeah, I mean, like, he's another guy that has done the perfect exercise and has put content out there for his perfect clients. He also does his bar talk thing where he puts out there and he talks about things that are going on. He's got some great content for the Dram Shop stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, that's just another way of putting out good content to your perfect client. This guy.
So, yeah.
So we put this up here. It's funny that Molly did this, but love this dude. I don't know if you've ever seen the Law Hawk commercials. We're not going to play it, but you can do a search for the Texas Law Hawk. If that's his perfect client, good job.
It all comes down to knowing your audience.
He's not a client, but this is one funny commercial.
Yeah. And really, it's clear that he's speaking to younger college-age kids, millennials with a sense of humor. But this is not a strategy that's going to work for everybody, but it works pretty well for this guy.
Yeah, and I actually reached out to him right away when I saw this commercial to see if he would be a client, because I was like, he gets it.
Yeah.
But he didn't respond, so I don't know. Maybe his follow-up campaigns need help.
Yeah.
So he needs us.
Yep.
Anyway.
All
so
right.
what is this? This is kind of a new thing.
All right, so we're talking about YouTube pre-roll ads. If you're not familiar with these are those 5-second clips that play before a video that you always just wait for that skip ad button to click. Probably because the ad's not speaking directly to you, which is why it's really important to kind of crunch down your message and your branding into the first 5 seconds, because the video will play for, I believe it's 30 seconds total. But the point of these ads is that, the point of this slide is to talk about the fact that you can really target your perfect client through these YouTube pre-roll ads. The successful pre-roll ads really come down to the question, what do my customers watch? Because you can target based on location or those basic demographics, but then you can also target based on video topics or the general interests of your clients. So
that's a great point to what we were talking about in the very beginning, that you all need to continue to think about when you're, okay, who's my perfect client? Now, some of these you might have to ask them. You know, like, what are your favorite magazines? You know, these can be, you can do a survey if you want to be that way, or you can have like conversation during, you know, that are peppered in during or afterwards. But, you know, like, what kind of shows do you watch? That's the whole point here. What are you interested in? What news program do you watch? If it's only CNN, or if it's only ABC News or Fox News, I just want to be, you know, make sure I get both sides. So, you know, like, then if that's what your perfect client watches and they hate CNN and they never watch it, then don't put your ads on CNN.
Right.
right?
Kind of it naturally will come up in conversation
Yeah.
too from time to time what your perfect clients are watching or listening to. So that's great information to have. And if you can't get it organically, then ask specifically, what are you watching? What are you interested in? What are your hobbies? That sort of thing, because they all give you more information to target more of your perfect clients. So when we're talking about these demographics that we have, you've got geography, which, pretty straightforward. You can have regional limits too for international campaigns or your local campaigns. You can be as targeted or as untargeted as you want to be. And then you've got demographics like age, gender, parental status, household income, that type of thing. So I picked an example that also falls under the topic category, which I'll touch on next. But these weather-related news clips in your local area really kind of hone in on the geography demographic for somebody like Bill Voss, who does insurance claims on weather-related incidents, like if you've got golf ball-sized hail and it creates all of these dents all over your brand new car or damage to your home. This is a great opportunity to target that video specifically. They're watching a video that's super topical and relevant to you. And then let's see if we can get this video to play. So this was
I was wondering what this was about. Molly's engaged, so I was like wondering if this got thrown in here because you were like looking at wedding videos.
No, this is a pretty clever video. I think they're Australian. It's a law firm that put it out. And this kind of splash screen would pop up before somebody really dives into their video. For just a second, you'd see it. And then this shows up. And the whole point is it was a happy wedding memory video.
That's wrong.
Been removed from YouTube. And
that's wrong.
They did a great job.
That's pretty good, though.
And for this type of video, you could focus on the demographic. What's the average age or location for people who are going through a divorce in your area? Yeah. So it was very clever.
Well, there's so much, and this kind of ties into breaking news. Mm-hmm. And so you've heard us talk about doing breaking news, which is still a very important, very important thing that people should be doing that ties into your perfect client. Mm-hmm. So if you're a perfect client, if you do, anything environmental, there's stuff in the news every day about the environment. So yeah. Like connecting that, I was just talking to a client about that who was just finalizing some BP payments from the oil spill years ago to the fishermen that were impacted. So anything that goes on that is related to what you do as a practice, and I'm not talking about don't blog about car accidents on every car accident on the highway unless it's something like huge, like if it was this idiot. I don't want to take time by getting into examples, but you want to make sure that you're connecting what's going on in the news and what people are talking about back to what you're doing. This has worked very well for people, like a divorce lawyer or a custody lawyer, talking about celebrities and, like Ben Affleck's in the news every day about something. And so, talking about his plight. What's Brad and Angelina?
Brangelina.
Yeah, Brangelina and their divorce. Like talking about that. People are and then plus doing ads before those kinds of stories too. There's opportunity there.
So speaking of these kind of topical YouTube pre-roll ads, let's dive into this next slide, which is really talking about topics, targeting option for the YouTube pre-roll ads. This is based on topics of videos that somebody is currently watching. So you have interests as well, which I'll dive into next, but they're a little bit different. So with these kinds of pre-roll ads, you can really focus on things that are relevant, like Tom was mentioning. I pulled up an example here of this vet who's got a PTSD service dog and talking about that. That's a great opportunity for a veteran disability claim attorney to put an ad right before that because it's relevant to somebody watching. We've got this guy who's telling us how to fix motorcycles, which is just a great opportunity for branding if you do motorcycle accidents. And then finally, I apologize. I'm finally trying to show the podiatrists some love. I know we've been
Well, the shin splints too. I mean, like, any kind of heel pain, and listen, I hate to say it, but there's a ton of people popping out videos that aren't taking advantage of this pre-roll thing that you can take advantage of by putting a quick ad on their videos.
And this sort of thing, like if I'm trying to figure out how to combat shin splints, it's obviously an issue for me. It's not something that I've dealt with once and then I forgot about it, never had the pain again. So that's a great opportunity to really target your client if they are runners. If your perfect patients are not runners, don't bother with that. If they're older or diabetic or that they're not very active, then think about ways that you can reach those people through YouTube ads. But this is really speaking to the kinds of clients that you want to work with or the kinds of patients that you enjoy working with. And then interests. So this is the one that's a little different than topics, but can be a bit confusing. So interests are going to show ads that are relevant to things that we search for online, even if the video that I'm watching at that moment is not related. So for me, I was really trying to get a good example that would relate directly to you guys, but I guess I just don't search enough for attorneys or podiatrists. But you can see here this video is about home renovations, a bathroom makeover, and organizing. But because I'm searching online for a lot of marketing and project management information, I get a ton of these kinds of ads before I watch a video. And you've got kind of two ways to dig into this: an affinity audience, which is a really kind of broad topical audience. So that would be like anyone who's interested in marketing, and then custom affinity audiences, which dive deeper into that. It would be anybody interested in content marketing or video or some specific sect of whatever it is you're targeting. And then this is just an example of a client's video ads from 2015. And this was really used for branding rather than conversion. So, I mean, if you take a look, they got some awesome views. That's a really great number of impressions, and things are only getting better with YouTube ads. So I would encourage you to give it a shot if you haven't done any yet.
But pay attention. Don't let it run,
yes.
run, and run, and run. And be careful about doing it on your own without somebody helping you.
And if you have, for example, that the hail, if you're watching, news clips of major storms, try and be really timely about that. Put your ad up right after the storm happens, when that news clip is hot and fresh, and then take it down after it's old news, because you don't want to waste your ad dollars speaking to somebody who doesn't care about what you have to say. So moving on to Facebook ads, this is such a great option for speaking directly to your perfect clients, because there are a ton of detailed targeting options here, and they've gotten more expensive over the years, but typically these are really, really affordable.
They're way more affordable for paid advertising than most things.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that you can target very specifically and get immediate feedback pretty much, and change it and test it and make it better. Like and even like, because it also teaches you how to do your broader ads. So like you can learn a lot from Facebook ads. And then, this worked, and then you take it to a bigger level. So for instance, that's what if you're like, this ad really worked on Facebook, and it's a video ad for something, that maybe you want to consider bringing that to TV. Sure.
And you can spend $200 on a video ad and get some great, feedback from Facebook, from the interactions on Facebook with that ad, and then make the decision to, they've now introduced A/B split testing, so you can split test your video, see which one's performing better, and then take that on a greater scale, like you said, so you have some idea of how it's going to do before you spend the big bucks on it. So when we're talking about your targeting options for Facebook, I mean, really, they're great. You can obviously do locations like the state of Massachusetts, and I can select everybody in the state of Massachusetts, or I can get specific with it and I can say, oh, I want people who live here because my ads are not going to serve well for people who are just traveling around Massachusetts but live in the state of Colorado if you're a podiatrist or an attorney who lives in Massachusetts, unless something happens to them while they're there. But obviously age, gender, and then their languages, those are really straightforward. But then you get a little bit more detailed with your targeting, and I pulled this example for the podiatrists who target people who are really into fitness and wellness and running or whatever they're into. This is a great option to target those people. And then we've got some examples of detailed targeting when we're talking about parents. So estate planning attorneys, when somebody has a new baby or they've got kids who are moving out and going to college or they've got, a milestone anniversary, those are points that I have heard from many estate planning attorneys. People really stop and consider like, whoa, I need to create my will, or I need to work on what's going to happen to my estate after I die. So
100%. I mean, like estate planners this specifically is great opportunity because it's so easy to put out content that answers their questions. And they're pretty common questions, and the questions are different the older you get. As we were showing in Dave Freese's example, another one that is funny that he uses that is, what do you do if your daughter's what do you do with your beach house when your daughter divorces her husband or whatever? I mean, it's like the stuff that happens, for like super, super rich people. But the other thing that you can do, though, is if you do multiple practices, you tie them together.
Oh, yeah.
So if somebody's coming in because they've been in an accident, then as an estate planner, it's your opportunity hey, do you have a will?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, don't be afraid to like offer your different service areas.
And even if you've settled a case or whatever the case is, you can always retarget those people on Facebook. They offer that option as well, which is a good way to remind them, like, hey,
Remind
if
me
you
of
ever need anything else,
the lawyer that just helped you through this crisis.
Right. And then they've built that relationship with you, and it's speaking directly to the people that you want to continue working with.
Exactly.
And then, of course, you've got the kind of work, either their employers, which you can actually search for specific employers if you're looking for.
Yeah, you can search for companies.
Yeah,
anyone
who works for Verizon, who I just want to target for whatever reason, I can do that.
There's a lot of law firms out there that are, close to giant manufacturing companies or maritime, like I know the maritime world is up and down or whatever, but you're working close to these companies that might have workers' comp claims or need help or disability. We have lots of clients that have been very successful in targeting these companies.
Yeah, and I've just got here that only the first 3 are showing right now, but you can target also their industry that they're working in. So people who work in construction or people who are in the military or a veteran, if you do that type of law, that these are great targeting options for you. Okay, we're talking about associations and organizations. So this is kind of a cool way to see your perfect client work in action and
in real life.
Yeah, and also get the continued benefit of that work, because these organizations need to see your content, need to see your marketing efforts to know that they align with their voice. And then they're also going to create more of that content to target those perfect clients for you on your behalf. So you can see here we talk about Hupy and these motorcycle accident. They're huge in this.
There's nobody better.
No, yeah.
There's nobody better. I mean, Hupy and Abraham is the model to follow for community marketing and charitable marketing. And the thing is that they're they're just genuine about it. I mean, Michael Hupy is genuine about his relationship with his community. That's how he got into back in the '60s. That's what he's about, and people know him. I mean, I don't want to speak. I just know how much they give back to the community,
Mm-hmm.
and that comes back to them in so many ways, and they stick with it. That they are very, very busy in the community. So that is the one to watch.
Well, yeah, and these associations and organizations are also really loyal to them
Yeah.
because of how much
Right.
they do for them.
And it's not just like give me money and
Right.
go get. They participate and
They
they're
go to these
involved and they're
events,
asked.
yeah.
They're asked to participate in these ongoing events.
Jim Dodson, same thing. He's an avid cyclist and he's really involved in the cycling community. He does a ton of community efforts and he's joining this bicycle club here and supports it, sponsors it. And the community really respects that and kind of it's created this just resonation.
Well,
is that the word I'm looking for?
That's a good word. You know, Jim's been a client for a long time. He's a great guy, and just like what we were talking about with James Roswell, Jim Dotson, you know, at the very beginning, you know, he's a PI lawyer, and he's being a PI lawyer, and he's marketing himself as a PI lawyer. By the way, he's also a mastermind member with Ben Glass, longtime mastermind and great legal marketing.
See a pattern emerging,
right? So, and he at the very beginning was very skeptical, if I remember correctly, about combining and most lawyers are about combining their personal life with their, you know, their professional life. But what's funny is, I mean, Jim's an avid biker. And he's always been an avid biker. He's doing it anyway. Mm-hmm. And so slowly he started incorporating it into his practice. And now it is like a huge part of his practice. He's out riding his bike. And basically his marketing people are promoting, you know, we're going to be here doing this thing. And they set up a tent and a booth. And what happened, don't think that he's getting direct. I mean, he might be getting some of that. He's not getting, like, he doesn't go to a bike race and get a client says, oh, I want to hire you right there. This is about building a foundational relationship with your perfect clients ongoing.
Branding yourself in that community.
Correct. And being that guy, because that creates a trust. And so I know for a fact, I'm sure he's got plenty more, but of cases that he's gotten, good cases that he's gotten because of his relationship. Yeah. In the biking community that have referred outside. Like, right. I got a guy I ride with, Jim Dotson, who's a great lawyer. You need to use him. And so think about that too. It's an extension of that. And then also, of course, there's other benefits to it, SEO benefits of getting links back. Which,
absolutely, yep.
The more that you do it, the better it's going to work.
And they're promoting you on their website, on their social media. They're putting your name out there as well as you having that content and that information in your own marketing efforts. So you're kind of, the benefits are twofold. It's not just, I'm going to sponsor you and get my name out there that one time. You're linking it all together. Everything's tied together. Your messaging is supporting your marketing. And it is great. And Jim and Hupy are great examples of how to do it well.
And, you know, it's really about sticking or what are you passionate about? Mm-hmm. You know, we were talking about this earlier, Molly, about because you're going to be more authentic to people when you're doing what you enjoy doing. And people will be like, wow, he's really passionate about that. I really, you know, and so they will relate to you better than if you're being somebody you're not truly.
Absolutely. And here are two awesome podiatry examples of ways to kind of get out there into the community and put yourself out there just in a way that speaks to your perfect client without kind of shoving in their face like, I'm a podiatrist and you need my services. This is Tanglewood here is partnering with Houston Fit, which is like an exercise fitness program, and they're working together basically to create this content about how to take care of yourself as you're taking care of yourself, how to protect your feet and how to stop yourself from getting injured. And then we have Prairie Path over here, excuse me, doing stretches at Nova Care Rehabilitation, which is just another opportunity. She's just there. This is Dr. McNeil. She's just there kind of showing people some really simple, basic information, like here's how to stretch and take care of yourself when you're, going through rehab. But she's also putting her name and her face out there and connecting with these people and giving them something that they can use and they can take home, and they're gonna remember her. I'm gonna remember that a lot more.
Love this picture.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Love the picture. And so like between these two pictures, like I know Tanglewood is Andrew, and that's a stock image. That's fine. But I love the picture of Misty because it's just her.
Yeah.
And remember that people like to work with people they like. So put yourself out there.
Yes.
I think that just represents who she is right there in that picture.
Smiley, happy,
very
friendly.
happy.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So we're going to just bring it all back together to recap.
We're done already?
We are.
That was so fun.
Yes. So addressing your perfect client has got to happen through your content. You cannot speak to them without having that messaging in your content. Using YouTube pre-roll ads is a great option for really hitting on those people who are interested in the topical information through videos or even just their general interests. And then, like we said, Facebook ad targeting was really almost made for this perfect client exercise. And then you get the twofold benefit of working with associations and organizations to promote your own content and, reinforce your messaging and your branding. And then they're also reinforcing your messaging and branding and just elevating your credibility to that next level.
Yep. So this is a great start, Molly. I mean, like this is
Yes.
We've listed. It's really right. Get your perfect client exercise done, and we're going to send that out to you, and we can help you with that if you need help. Once you start writing your content to address your perfect client, and I'm going to tell you real quick, one of the best ways to do that is through your success stories of your best clients, success stories.
What were their fears? What
Right.
were their concerns? What hurdles did they have to
Right. How did they
overcome?
come in? What is their whole story? There's so much organic and natural content in their stories, and add those to your website because people will be like, oh, this person did this for somebody else to success. That's exactly what's happening for me.
Yep.
And that could be the decision for them to choose you over your competitor that's still focused on pay-per-click and AdWords for
Right.
vanity keywords. So this is like some serious guerrilla warfare marketing here that works. Let the other guys spend all the money on pay-per-click where everybody's running to do. You stick here writing organic content and doing these smart little ads that are not vanity keyword based. They're based on your perfect client and doing some good research based on that. So content based on it. The YouTube, I love that. I love doing pre-roll ads. And of course, Facebook ad targeting, I think is pretty straightforward. We talked about the demographics. And then my favorite, of course, is the community. Those are the people that are the most successful. So if you're doing everything else, that's a hole. So these are, if you're doing everything else, these are 3 holes that you should fill up.
Yeah.
So Molly, anything else?
Yeah. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to shoot them over to us. And in the meantime, while we're waiting on that, we're just going to promote the analysis. If you don't know it, fwmanalysis.com, we provide it's no strings attached. It's just a website analysis to kind of see, is your content speaking to the right person? How's your website performing? What can you do to make it better? What can you do to improve on the things that you have that are existing?
If you're not getting cases, you got to ask the question. If there's no cases coming, I think we're good. We're fine.
Oh, great.
So if there's no cases coming, then you got a problem because that's the point of your website is to deliver you cases. Traffic is only one side of it. That's people, if you have traffic that aren't converting to cases, that's a different kind of problem. That's exactly what we're talking about here, is that your net is too big. So if you're having any kind of, even if you have a beautiful website and you think it's awesome and you want somebody to look under the hood for a little bit and see, well, you're having this SEO problem or this problem, or if you want to get off the bandwagon of pay-per-click and are looking for something else to do, then we can certainly, well, pay-per-click's part of it, but so you're not paying so much for that. There's other ways to get the business. Anyway, thanks so much, everybody, for participating in this webinar. We'll send out the recording to everybody. Molly, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Bye, guys. Have a great day.
Take care, everybody. Bye now.